Gragg from Stanford, who's going to be speaking with us.
All right, I am so excited to be here with you guys in Earth Week. This is amazing. So, as I said, I am a managing director at the Precourse Institute for Energy at Stanford University, and I lead a lot of our student education and public education programs. So I teach classical understand energy, and I'm really here to talk to you, give you some mind things to think about in terms of our energy systems and our climate and our AI systems that we're kind of talking about here today. Because one of the reasons we teach and I do all of this education about energy is because it's empowering. We have knowledge, we can be informed, and we can challenge our leaders to make change. So, big thing to think about in terms of our greenhouse gas emissions, energy is 75% of the problem. This is why I work on this issue. Primarily that's fossil fuel combustion. That's the biggest piece of that 75%. So energy matters, our energy choices matter. It really matters on how we're powering the energy services that we want, including for data centers and AI, but including for electrification of all sorts of things. We're looking at electrification of transportation, of buildings, of all sorts of services. That's more efficient, that's great, but we have to think also about how we're powering that electricity because it matters. Right? So, some other things I want you to think about in terms of the reason we're talking about AI and data centers is the scale of the challenge. It is happening so fast, and our electricity system isn't designed to change that fast. And so that is part of the challenge in terms of we're talking about regulations or how we're going to power these data centers. When you're adding a new Chicago to the grid in less than a year, the electricity grid doesn't know how to handle that. And so it is a rate of change that we don't know how to handle. So just in the last year alone, we've had 3% increase of our electricity demand in the US. Big part of that is because of data centers. And it wasn't changing before that. For a decade, it was basically flat. So this is new territory for our electricity system. And the expectations are that we have to triple our US capacity in electricity over the next 5 years. That is unreal if that actually happens. There's a lot of uncertainty in those numbers. I'm just trying to give you a sense that this is a big scale. And so what's happening on the ground right now as we're putting these data centers in quickly is that we're doing things fast and inefficiently. And so we talked about the inefficiency in water, also in the inefficiency in electricity. AI data centers are getting jet engines and putting them on the ground and just using that to power data centers. It's a very inefficient, polluting way to do it. And so we have to take a step back. We have to have good policies on how to do this efficiently. But I want to give you some hope. There are ways that we can do this better, even quickly. And so I want to point you to like Redwood Materials, who is partnered with Crusoe. They're using second life batteries instead of putting natural gas systems to power these data centers. And so there are ways that we know we can do it fast and sustainable. And so we really got to focus on doing those kind of ways. So I want you to think about flexibility, efficiency. These are all things that are important. If our data centers aren't up all the time, if they can flex, they can integrate with things like solar and wind. And so there are people that are working on making the data centers flexible. So thinking about the demand side. And then we also have efforts for requiring these data centers to bring their own clean energy to the grid. And so they have this fun term, it's called Beyonce. Bring your own new clean energy, right? That's another thing that we're thinking about. So I love being up here talking about energy and electricity and data centers with all of you. We do have free online education resources. You can just look up Understand Energy at Stanford and learn more about all of our different aspects of our energy system. But thank you so much. So happy to be here.
Thank you.